thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, for accepting our opportunity and our invitation, to have the opportunity to have a conversation with you. And in order, I'll introduce also Susanne, and you already know her. She's our academic coordinator at the GATE Center. She's going to lead this conversation, and we have everybody a very interesting time. We'll have a first conversation, and then the idea is to open the days. Thank you very much.
I'm very happy to be here this afternoon. I'm very happy that you are here today. We call this conversation China and the Global South, not China as part of the Global South. So this is, we had a few weeks before, we had another Chinese speaker here. So we had also a very good conversation, and we continue a little bit in our second GATE dialogue. This is the second time we are doing this, so we are very, very happy that you can join us today. So we divide our conversation in four parts. And maybe introduce you. You have a master you're a master in law.
So-called.
You are a professional diplomat. You have been in countries,
Global South.
difficult countries, I would say. In Afghanistan, you have been the ambassador in Afghanistan, and afterwards in Pakistan. Not easy, I would say, to be ambassador.
Survived.
Yeah. So let's start by asking you a very general question. Which are the priorities of China's foreign policy today in terms of, we have seen that there's a new Latin American strategy. China is still feeling like part of this Global South. Maybe you tell us a little bit about the priorities China has right now, because it's a bit silent, no? If we think about so many conflicts we haven't heard much about the Chinese position on many open conflicts we now have with Mr. Trump, no? Sure. But maybe you first tell us a bit about the priorities. Thank you very much.
Professor, and thank you for all the audience. I'm very honored that I could be invited by GATE Center and to have this kind of discussion with scholars, with professors, I don't know, maybe very young scholars. So I really appreciate. I think I have to thank you, that GATE Center, as well as your presence, because this is a kind of interest on China's foreign policy, on China's global approaches, although that today's discussion is focused on the Global South. So let me a little elaborate China's priorities on the foreign policy. Yeah, I think that starting from China's own development, China's own position, because we believe the foreign policy is an extension of the internal affairs. So for China, the biggest problem for the past history is the survival, because China was the largest populated country, 1.4 billion people, and limited, edible lands. So since a long history, for over the past thousands of years, the biggest challenge for the Chinese government or the Chinese, previously the dynasties, is how to survive, how to feed these people, how to shelter this population. So development, survival is always our first. Even now we are a little more developed, but still the development is the key for any government in China. So always we put development as our priority. So all the Chinese foreign policy should be or could be understood or explained through this development point of view. So first, that we put development as our first priority of that. But this development, of course, you need security. You need a kind of external environment, because not like 200, 500 years ago, development maybe is more focused within the territory or within, but right now it's a globalized market, is a globalized world. So the development is more, I should say, connected with other partners. But anyway, development is the key to understand China's foreign policy. So we always put that for China, that we are still a developing country. Although that there's a lot of, I should say, media report, China is so powerful, strong, so developed, so advanced. But I don't think so, because I think we take ourselves still at developing status. Why? Because our development first is not balanced. If you go to Shanghai, Beijing, this eastern part of China, yeah, it's quite maybe developed. But if you go to Gansu, Xinjiang, Yunnan, this western part of China, you can see that things are totally different from the east. That we just came out of the poverty 2021, I think 3 years ago. This poverty, the standard is very low. That means $1 a year. So right now we only came out of this survival line, $1 a year for one person. So that is the minimum of the poverty. But if you go there, second, our development, I think, still focused, or I should say, is we call in the rural areas. Because still, I think more than half of the Chinese population working on the rural areas. And their survival or their development is far away from the developed or industrial areas. And thirdly, that is our I should say, production or industrial framework is not overall. Not like, for example, Spain or in Europe. I think all the countries have reached in a certain level that anywhere you go, you have the basic, for example, Medicare, basic industrial foundations or basis or something. But if you go to the western part of China, and this west part of China occupies almost 70% of our territory. So that this whole we call it is a little far away from a balanced or more comprehensive development. So for the Chinese foreign policy, we put us as a development group. This development group means that we need focus on the development. By this kind of thing, this kind of logic, so we put us as a global south. Previously, we called the third world. You are the first world. We are the third world. Or later on, you are the developed world. We are the developing world. So right now, but this global south, more or less, according to our understanding, it means developing. It means third world. That development is still the key point or key purpose of the country, of the nation. So, Professor, if I could say that we still take China and global south, but still China is a part of the global south. So this is my understanding. So because of that, so you see that China's foreign policy or China's priority first, of course, is our neighborhood. We call it Asia Pacific. The neighborhood is composed of basically 4 parts: Northeast Asia, Southeast Asia, South Asia, and Central Asia. Northeast Asia, basically, you know, China, Korea, Japan. Korea and Japan, they are more advanced. But still we have the problem, like North Korea, North Korea. We have Mongolia also, that is far away from the development yet. Southeast Asia, we are overall ASEAN countries, and they are a community, but still we are the same level, similar level with that. And we have the South Asia with India as the leading country, and Central Asia, Kazakhstan. So this is our priority. And we look at prior areas for China's foreign policy. They are all developing countries, mostly. Japan, Korea may be exceptional, but mostly they are this. Then to a vaster territorial reach out, then we have this Middle East, Africa, Latin America, these kind of areas. This, I think. So our policy toward this is we are from the same group. And this same group all will focus on the development as the key target of our foreign policies. So our orientation of foreign policy is development. And focused on this purpose, we pay more attention to our relations with. So that is why we have the BRICS. Just now the president mentioned the BRICS. We have the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. We also have this so-called Belt and Road Initiative. We call that. We also have this so-called Global South Initiative for development, something. And we have also these global development initiatives. So that if you look at the past 1 or 2 decades, a lot of initiatives, especially China's foreign economic and trade initiatives, are focused on the Global South. But the Global South is a new name. But our understanding is still that it's developing world. So this is my understanding of China and Global South.
Yeah, there are some people or authors who think that China is a new north, no? Within the south. So there are many differences. No? I think the global south is such a big term. No? It's very difficult to define.
It is, because there are a lot of controversial things, issues. For example, in the World Bank, China is still getting assistance or donations for some infrastructure projects. So last year, we voluntarily, we say we won't accept this, but we still benefit from this kind of global, I should say, assistance or global support systems for China. There's also, for example, regarding, for example, the donation or the fee for the UN Secretariat. Yeah, right now, because our GDP is big, is huge, or is big, just a second to the United States. So we are supposed to pay the second large share of the budget of the UN. We did it. So we do it, I think almost 2 billion. So we do it. But still that our judgment is not that from the international point of view. Our judgment on ourselves is our own domestic situation, as I said, that we still have a lot of challenges. Today, exactly, is a very special day because our parliament, our National People Congress, just convened a New Year session. And they just published, you can see that a lot of challenges, for example, for our financial systems, a lot of challenges for domestic investment or some things. So you can see that, in fact, our domestic challenges for the future economy, future development is still very huge.
Yeah, but China is such a success story, no? In a sense, in economic terms, no? Also in military terms. I think you're the second power after the United States. So globally, China is on the rise, no? So
military rise. It's also always I should say is always a phenomenon. There's the military rise, our military expenditure. Every year the budget is increasing. It's almost, I think, 4 or 5%, I don't know. I'll invite you to our foreign minister will have an interview on the 8th, the day after, on this Sunday. They are always talking about military. For us, our military basically is for defense. We have no external agenda because we still have a rival government, a rival regime in Taiwan. And we thought that this is the only major country in China that still we have this kind of 2 rival governments within the same territory. So we have to find a solution to be prepared for these rival regimes. So that is, I think, the major reasons for our military build-up.
Yeah, let's maybe shift to the BRICS group. China is becoming kind of leader of the BRICS group. We have the new development bank. We have now the BRICS are integrating 10 or
10 or 11.
Who knows? No, there are many countries looking for membership, so it's quite an attractive pole of. It's quite a powerful group, but very different interests within. No, one of the members is Iran. No, so maybe you can tell us a little bit what is the Chinese position and why the widening of the BRICS group. Because I think some countries were not so happy about that. If we think Brazil, for example, at the first reaction they were not enthusiastic with it. No, I remember that because I'm studying more Brazil. I'm not an expert on China. So
this is also quite challenging for us. us. Because if you look at about 20 years ago when these BRICS, because basically we take BRICS as we call the group of the emerging markets or the emerging developing countries. So from the very beginning, these 5 countries, Brazil, South Africa, Russia, China, India, that we composed. Later on, we are supposed to be a kind of a new, I should say, a new but open and inclusive group of developing countries or the leading developing countries. But if you look at now that after 20 years, that in fact, even this global south, or we call the whole developing world, has fundamentally changed. First, I think that we are more and more closely connected because with the innovation, technology development, or this kind of international, I should say, advancement of these globalizations. In fact, nation itself is less and less relevant than as a group. Because, but if we build this group of BRICS on a certain doctrines, on a certain principles, then these doctrines and these principles are under more and more challenges. For example, for the BRICS that we put for them, we will work for the global peace. But Russia, I think it's a very controversial country now, yeah, because they within the BRICS, they say that peace is very important. That peace means that they have to have a kind of a certain security arrangement with Europe. And when they cannot see this kind of arrangement with Europe is completed or accomplished, then they have this kind of war with Ukraine. So that India also that I think they have a very different prime minister now. When the BRICS was founded, I think it was the Congress party, political party, but right now it's BJP. And you can see the strategic orientation of the Congress and the BJP. They are totally different. And Brazil, I don't know, I know less about Brazil, Latin America, but I think that they also have the different presidents and they have the different groups of the political until that only South Africa is more, I should say, insistent. So regarding, I think the BRICS is under a kind of transformation, first within, then without. So both internally and externally. For China, first, we pay a lot of attention and importance to this group. We still believe that for the global south, for the developing world, we need such a kind of group like BRICS that to mobilize some kind of consensus on the global security development, and the global civilizational cooperation. So we need this organization. Second, still we believe that we have to build on the consensus, although maybe the consensus are becoming less and less, but still we have a lot of relevant, for example, multilateralism, for example, UN charters, for example, international norms, for example, WTO, World Trade Organization, laws or rules, some things. For example, that no unilateralism, no military means, something like that. So still work on that. Thirdly, that we also would like to mobilize more members or more partners with the BRICS. We still believe that the BRICS is relevant. So China will keep investing in BRICS and trying to work back. But challenges are increasing. And I think it takes more efforts for the members to how to manage or move forward. I don't know, but after the expansion of new members, you can see that more and more difficulty. Even here, that suppose there are usually that like the BRIC members, ambassadors, Chinese ambassador, Russian ambassador, Brazilian ambassador here, South African ambassador, Indian ambassador. We are supposed to have a kind of a regular breakfast here. Oh, okay. Yeah, when I came here two years ago or 2.5 years, I joined the first is by South Africa, the lady ambassador. We had a very excellent breakfast and had some kind of discussion or something. But this kind of breakfast meeting or regular meeting could not continue regularly. It's very difficult to find the Russian ambassador here. He's, of course, is forthcoming. Yeah, I don't know right now. Iranian ambassador won't have interest in these kind of things.
Yeah.
So you can see that this kind of group, I think, we are also faced a lot of new challenges. And but for China, we will continue moving forward with the organization.
And this means to institutionalize it or to have a roadmap, because now these are summits, no?
We do. We still
summits.
have the same, I should say, if you say roadmap. Yes. For example, we keep it. The nature of this group is always open and inclusive. We will never become an exclusive group. It doesn't mean a kind of special interest. It's build always on the consensus. Second, we always focus that global peace and global development as the key of the priorities. Thirdly, that our collaboration is always based on, I should say, we call it not like alliance, military alliance, economic coalition, something. It's never advocate for the confrontations. So I think that this is from the very beginning that China is insist on the principle. So that is should we say this kind of roadmap.
So let's come maybe to the last part, more coming to the interest between Spain and China. In Africa, you mentioned that before when we had an informal conversation. Latin America, and then maybe to explain a little why this new Latin American strategy in very difficult times when we have the national security strategy of the United States, the revival of the Monroe Doctrine. So it comes in an era very, very difficult.
I think the first, the United States National Security Strategy, then the China's third document on Latin America. But I don't think it's connected.
No, it's not connected, but I mean, I know it's not connected.
By nature, it's also different. Because I think Latin America has always been a major part of our, I should say, global approach. For example, we have 4 major initiatives: global security, global development, global civilization, and global governance. And Latin America is a relevant part of all these 4 initiatives. So we have this so-called China Latin America kind of
with the CELAC, no?
Mechanism.
With the CELAC, no?
This mechanism.
Like the European Union.
So
similar.
according to our practice, in a certain time or in a regular terms, then we will issue a document on Latin America. But unfortunately, this issued, I think, a few days after the UN security strategy on that. But I don't think that, first, it is not connected with the United States. Second, it is not influenced by the United States. Thirdly, it won't, I should say, affected by the US strategy. For China, it's always our own approach. First, as Latin America is a very important part of our global South. It's a part of our developing world. Second, that Latin America has huge potentials, and by its own development or by its international rule or international position, we believe that Latin America can play a much bigger role in the global affairs, in the global events. And thirdly, we see a lot of opportunities that our collaboration with Latin America. For example, our collaboration with Brazil is always the leading example. We have very close in industry. We have very close collaboration in the environmental protection. We have a very close connection with Brazil's on these people-to-people contacts. So this is, I think, and for example, we also have a lot very close economic links with Latin American countries, Argentina, Mexico, and Peru or something. So that is, I think, our orientation of Latin America. And we still take Latin America as a partner in this, we call the Belt and Road Initiative. regarding the Spain, I think because I'm right now posted in Madrid, in Spain, this GATE center is very meaningful. It's a gate. For me, Spain is a very good gate to Latin America. I don't know, because previously, you know my background. I served in South Asia. I know nothing about Spain. I know nothing about Europe. Yeah, but since I'm here, but I have to study, I have to learn. But if I go to, I don't know, if I go to a certain lunch in a good restaurant in Madrid, sometimes some people, friends will tell me, no, this guy maybe is a former president of certain Latin America. This is a former president of Mexico. He's a professor now in certain universities in Spain. So I can understand that this kind of connection, your business connection. There are some Chinese companies who have merged some local company, but their business, their headquarters are here, but their business in Latin America and Latin America. And there are so many, I should say, publications, so many books about Latin America. If you go to all the museums, you can see that it's not only about Spain, it's about this new world, not new world, but your connection with that. If you go to any kind of libraries, you can see that Spain is always connected with Latin America. History is history, but this is a fact. So any country, even like China, when we are going to reach out to Latin America, that we cannot ignore. We have to have a better utility of the old connections with Spain. So that is, for example, we have this university collaboration through your competence, Madrid, autonomous universities. Right now we are connecting, through your universities, we are connecting our universities with Latin America. For example, that some kind of company, business links, that several companies like Three Gorges, although they have projects here, but their major projects is in Brazil, is in Peru or in Argentina, some new end. For example, that's our electrical vehicles, our electrical vehicle companies. When they build their factories in Europe or in Spain, they also have another share of the market in Latin America. So for China, if we really want to have a better relations and understanding of Latin America, Spain, even of course as a whole, the whole Europe is very important. That from our flights, we have to stop over here, either Brussels or Madrid or Paris, that to reach out to Latin America. So it's a natural bridge, as well as I think it's a very important international bridge of Spain for China to reach out to Latin America. We can also benefit from your knowledge about them. So this is what I can share now. If you have any questions about anything about China.
Thank you very much for the question. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think this is an excellent basis for some for a conversation with the audience. If you would like to, we are now in the question and answers part.
Yes, I think you know that this is very unfortunate. This we call the unilateral military strike against Iran by Israel and the United States. For China's position, we are very clear. We are against war. Any kind of problems that should not be dealt with through the military means. Second, that de-escalation of the situation. I think this is the most urgent issue for now that we like. Thirdly, I think that this problem with Iran, this problem in Middle East has a long historical roots for the past so many years and all these things. So that all the relevant parties should settle this issue, find the solutions based on this two solutions, something, or based on the negotiations or consensus. But these kind of things, this kind of military, for example, for us, we feel are very much concerned. Yeah, because I don't know, United States, they can take out or kill a national leader in another country. I don't know. This is for us. This is unbelievable because for you, I think it's also maybe difficult because we are talking about this militarism, multilateralism, talking about international laws. So without, for example, in 2001, when this so-called anti-terror war in Afghanistan, of course it's militarily take out the Taliban, but it was authorized by the Security Council. So even at that time, although China did not contribute troops, but anyway, we have the moral support. Yeah, this terrorism international is global. But this way is more unilateral. So China, we are against that. We condemn this kind of war. We don't think that it could find a solution for the problems in Iran or in the Middle East. But if we say that how China can be, right now we have some initiatives. One is that we are going to mobilize a regional consensus. So we are going to send a special envoy to Arabic world, to the Middle East, to see what the regional consensus, the regional approach, the regional ownership of these problems. So second is that we are going to advocate in the Security Council and also in the other platforms for peaceful solutions. And thirdly, of course, we are in contact with Israel, with the United States, that please, we are going to discourage the further military actions in that. Finally, we advocate a global involvement and global involvement on that keep this, for example, the supply of energy, oil, gas, all these things. I think no country should be hurt because of the situation over there. But this is our principled position, but I doubt how much China can do.
Thank you very much.
For Spain, because this is my job. I'm basically doing job is to understand Spain, to support Spain on certain issues. I don't know, because my key is job is that to evaluate and trying to understand this relationship between China and Spain. And my job is also to find somewhere we can work together. But by working together with Spain, we can contribute our relations with EU, with Europe, or with the global community. So that is for Spain, I think that, yes, we share that. I think you recognize multilateralism. You don't like war. You are against war in Ukraine. You are against war in Iran. You are against war anywhere. This we call the peaceful approach, peace approach, or peace-loving country. Thirdly, that you prefer a kind of, I should say, a community-based approach to all the, like you follow the EU or on the trade issues or some things. So in China and Spain, we are not 100% or always the same. But on this kind of principles, we 100% agree with you. So for China, how can, for example, morally, I think we because China is a victim of the trade war by the United States, by Donald Trump. And starting from, so we had a very hard negotiations with them. And even we had a kind of, I think, tit for tat, this kind of things. So far it's a little stable, our relations. But we hope that Donald Trump and Spain, the US administration of Spain, can also avoid this kind of unilateral economic means or trade means for political purpose. Second is that definitely because we still believe it's a peace-loving and also is a responsible international member, then we have to have collaboration for our own benefits. So not by support, but we share these kind of opportunities of mutual collaboration. For example, we increase our investment. Even today, we are discussing that some kind of more trade facilitations for Spain, some agricultural products, market access for China, something like that. And thirdly is that we work together maybe under some of the Middle East partners. Because I think when our foreign minister is calling these foreign ministers, your foreign minister is also calling these foreign ministers, and we are talking similarly. So I think that this kind of mobilization for peace, mobilization for no war, I think it is helpful. So for China, we appreciate your position, and we hope that Spain, along with the whole EU, can also play a responsible and useful role for the global peace, in particular now in Middle East. Yeah. Yes, I think this is first I can share with you is that because a lot of media report, your impression China is very advanced. There are several. For example, for our Chinese government, definitely we have also our domestic problems. So we want to build up our confidence for the common people. So the people, we show our best part, or that the most developed part, to not only to you, but also to our own people. So when you look at our media, look at the global that, but you can see this. But if you look at government policies, then you will find that we are identifying, locating these problems by ourselves. For example, the imbalance of that development. For example, there's a key technology loss. We don't have the key technology, for example, like chips or something. In fact, it was controlled by the United States. For example, the supply of the raw materials, or for example, our labor supply, or even our unemployment rate. You can check all these things. So in fact, the problem is the propaganda or the exposition of our own projects or our own development sometimes. Second is that I should say is also that by some media, they are potentially, or there's purpose, on purpose, for special reason, they want to put China in a kind of so-called new north, or a kind of part of the developed countries. This is, I think, against our reality. So there's a kind of, I should say, intentional highlights of China's position, in particularly in the military sector. Yeah, I don't, because for the past 40 years, China has never been to a war yet. Well, never, yeah. I don't know how strong it is, but if you follow the media report, you could be, I think, misguided. And finally, that yes, we have some developments, we have some kind of progress. But this kind of progress is based on our collaboration with the world. I think in 1978, when China opened up, it was, I should say, all the investment, all the technology, all the industry, I should say, industry utilities are coming from abroad, from European countries, from Japan, from Korea, or everywhere else. So in fact, that China's development is based on the external cooperation. So it's based on the global market, because we build and we sell. So that is always, I think, China is always projected more than it is, or sometimes is over-projected. So I think this is the reason. Sometimes we have to be a little more realistic when we look at China. Of course, I think we are following the situation in Venezuela very closely. Yeah, because as you said, we had a long and close political, economic, people-to-people links with this country for quite. I don't know this. The former president Maduro. So you're Maduro. Yeah, it is. I think at least he wasn't killed. At least, yeah, he was arrested and taken away. And right now, I think you know that. But the nature is the same. Yeah, the Iranian supreme leader was killed, unfortunately, but the president of Venezuela is taken out, is kidnapped or something like that. So this is the same shock for us because we never imagined that such things could happen, whether you like it or not. But still, this I think this is unimaginable things. Second is that the approach by the United States to Venezuela is different because they use the current parts of the government and some kind of political. So this is a middle. I think, according to my understanding, Venezuela is a little more luckier than Iran because Iran is under direct attack. But anyway, this kind of external intervention, we are against it too. So for China, first, we respect that the Venezuela, their own choice. I don't know how they will move forward. Either their opposition will come back, or their current regime or government, or Maduro should be back. We think that we should respect their own. Second, China, we are also, because this is sudden change, because, for example, their oil export or their infrastructure investment, our investment. Right now, definitely we are connecting with the current government of Venezuela to have an amicable or to a mutually acceptable settlement of these economic collaboration issues with them. And thirdly, we still believe that the future of Venezuela should be decided by themselves, including their resources, most importantly, their oil. They should not be a kind of, asset controlled by United States or external forces. So this is, I think, for China and Venezuela, I think we still have the best wish for them, but it depends on their own route or their own road they will choose in the future. So this is my understanding.
And will Cuba be next? What do you think?
Probably.
Cuba,
I don't know, because also we are very worried about, because there are some kind of threats from the United States.
Yes.
And I think Cuba is more, sometimes they are more, difficult than Venezuela, because their supply of their resources, even that, because we have a flight from China, Madrid, Cuba, Havana. Our flight, we were told by the local airport, they have no oil when you come back. So they have to go to some another country, Bahamas. They have to go back first to the Bahamas for refueling, then come back to Madrid. So this is, I think, can see that they are in a very difficult. But we still respect and also we value this Cuba, their leaders or their government, their own choice. We never think that any kind of external country should threat or pressurize a certain country to change their own choice, especially by economic bloc or economic sanctions. This is, I think, I hope that there won't second Venezuela over there.
Other questions? Last question, maybe?
Or comments. What should China should do?
What can we do together? The
together with us,
Union,
or China should do be a better China. You see this kind of tension between the EU and the United States, because I think this is very specific on the issue of the current Middle East. But overall, you also have a little problem, I think, with the United States regarding Ukraine. I think the United States prefer that their own judgment, their own approach. They don't want to consult you. They don't want to involve you. But in the Iran, same, that they just want to use, but they don't want to engage you. So I think that, but fundamentally, this relationship or partnership, we call the cross-Atlantic, the EU and the United States, you still have a lot of, strong foundation of this partnership. So I don't think that EU finally will break up with the United States. Second is that even I think their Secretary of State, United States is a child of the EU. So you still have a lot of leverages over the United States, in particular, taking into your connection with the United States. So I think EU can use your influence, use your leverage over United States for a better, or maybe a betterment of the US performance or something. So I don't think EU will break up or have bigger problem more. But instead, because Donald Trump is a little exceptional. So sometimes when you are dealing with this president, you have to find a proper way, not like the previous administrations. They are more organized. But this guy is more, I should say, is a little more unique. So when EU is dealing with the United States, you have to find a proper way dealing with this president, this administration. But for China, definitely we would like to see EU to play a bigger role in mobilizing some kind of global peace or global multilateralism or global like Spain. Why we right now, in China, Spain, in our media, especially this self-media, these things, selfies, Pedro Sanchez is a hero. I think a lot of Pedro, but domestically is different, but here like that. But it means that there are some kind of, I should say, a kind of good points in your position. But I think this world is so diversified. So any country, when we are faced with this kind of global situations, sometimes we gain, but sometimes also we lose. So we have to be very balanced and very, I should say, careful in dealing with these challenges.
Thank you very much. I think we had a very open and frank debate. I'm very grateful that you came here. And yes, I learned a lot from your insights since I've never been in China. And thank you very much. So